What up, naughty steppers? It's Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel. And it is time for the first yearly favourites video of 2018 as I bring you my top 30 remixes in bass music over the last 12 months. Tracks that usually fall by the wayside and don't really get the recognition they deserve, but which are incredibly important for the dark electronic music scene. The songs that transform our understanding and appreciation of original ideas, rehashing them in fresh and innovative ways. From your standard remix to VIPs, edits, flips, bootlegs and more, they come in a wealth of different forms, all of which are accepted on this list. Couple of rules to run through before I get going here, which will actually apply to all the yearly favourites videos. In one list there can only be one entry per artist. This is to keep them as varied and diverse as possible, whilst giving as many chances as each one allows. With this video in particular, however, this does not mean that the same original artist can't be included twice. I could have different original songs from one particular artist remixed by two different producers, but not the same original song. Luckily though, that isn't an issue with this list, so I won't be delving into that too much further. In each video, I will quickly blitz through a couple of special mentions to get started with, those that are very good but don't excel quite enough to get them into the main list, before working steadily downwards to the number one spot, talking about them more and more as I go on to reflect their positioning on that list. Lastly, and please remember this with all of these videos, this is solely my opinion, one opinion. I'm not giving any objective views here. It's about how they make me feel, my favourites of 2018, those that I've enjoyed most out of the tens of thousands of tracks I've heard this year. So by all means, in this and all the following yearly favourites videos, feel free to voice your thoughts on all my opinions and give all of your favourites too in the comments down below. Which ultimately is the best part. I want to hear all your guys' thoughts on the best dark electronic music of this year. Let's get some good conversation going. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time we get cracking on with this first list. And we start with the special mentions for the best remixes of 2018. So in alphabetical order, by way of remix artist name, we have the Bass Nectar remix of High by Rusko, the Calcium remix of 404 by Heckler and Glades, the Dyro remix of The Drop by Gamma, the Kaiwachi remix of What the Fuck by Hero Bust, the One True God remix of Uproar by Lil Wayne and Swizz Beatz, the Peekaboo and G-Rex remix of Witch Doctor by AT Aliens, the Redax remix of Beast by Cool Rex, the Sneak remix of Lick It by Valentino Khan, the Sign remix of Machine Gun by Noizu, the Volak remix of Bling Bling by Malar, and the Zeke Beats remix of Pineapple by EPROM. At number 30, we have the Slavly remix of OG Perp by The Trickers and Creaky Jackals, a bombastic bro-step edit that just does so many things so well and so right. At number 29, we have the Dynamic and Ridge Wilson remix of Smoke Perp's Audi, a properly nasty hybrid trap edit, seriously fierce and not for the faint-hearted. At number 28, we have the CC Maya remix of Monochrome Raptor by Infect, a pounding rhythm edit and one of the best of that genre I've heard this year. Coming in at number 27, we have the Ricky San remix of PCP by Crane and B. Lewis. Classic in many ways from him, a purposeful, refined, sharp trap beat. At number 26, we have the Bellowing remix from Sora of Sekai and Bezo's Ancients, a thumping, squelchy, briddomy tune, vocal and instrumental combining very well here. At number 25, we have the Monks remix of Make It Bundem by Skrillex, an astutely articulated edit fully reflective of both styles. Really like the way he restructures a lot of the synths whilst making it so clearly sound like his, well cut with lots of flavour, bang tidy. At number 24, we have the Galaxy remix of Hate Machine by X and G and Nate Lopass, An invigorated house remix that packs a serious punch. Relatively straightforward but so well formulated. A really neat coming together of sounds that hits right where it's meant to, seizing in its delivery. Coming in at number 23, we have a remix of Pure Joy and Happiness, and that's Cofrazy's flip of Sandman by the Chordettes. A high-spirited, festive, jolly trap edit, the timing of everything being spot on from front to back, ideal for getting those endorphins properly flowing. One of the less normal house tracks you're likely to hear this year at number 22 in Dylan Nathaniel's remix of Byliner by Malar. Very dreamy, euphoric introduction and midsection surrounded by malfunctioning upbeat drops really works in its difference from the norm, a captivating listen. At number 21 we have the Odd Prophet remix of Rock Like This by Sudden Death and Yax. Outlandish, tear-out dubstep in its most blinding form. Really nice contrast between different sections here. Borrows from the original very well whilst clearly sounding like his. Love the energy to it. Enthralling stuff. Going into the top 20 now, and we look to one of the modern day trap masters, Eliminate, with his remix of A Ways Honest to God. This is Eliminate in his intricate, microscopically detailed element, incorporating the somber vocal and filling the space with a bounty of razor-like effects. Really vivid feel here to every sound, which I love. Immaculately assembled and enrapturing in its design. Over the last couple of years, dubstep has been bringing melody back in more and more, and someone who can take a lot of responsibility for that is Olivers. His remix of Give It Time by Just Say Yes is an original brostep lover's wet dream. The vibrancy of it from start to finish makes it seriously difficult to put down. The wobbly, Roscoe-esque section starting at 2 minutes 20 is one of my favourite moments of the year, and overall it's pretty much exactly what you would want to hear from him. At number 18 we have one of the most grand and beastly tracks on this list, and that's Phase 1's remix of Stay by Delta Heavy. I really love the emotion of this edit, instrumental and vocal coming together well to make that happen, and the dubstep's got a tremendous reach to it. Every section combining to give it that epic appearance, not massively complex, but that mixture of brute force and emotion make it well worth its top 20 spot. A track I never knew I needed comes in at number 17 with Maddo's house remix of Sophie's Face Shopping. An original that many may see as unremixable, but Maddo does a fantastic job of rehashing it in a menacing, animated way. The vocal is used very well, the drops have a real magnetism to them, it reveals more and more as it progresses from beginning to end. Really solid edit, must be said. At number 16 we have one of the most brutal electro tracks I've heard all year, and that's Naylek and Catfire's remix of Bang Your Head. This is for knife party lovers, those that like their electro with a real bite and savageness to it, lots of sounds firing off in all directions, mad energy. A great idea and refreshing to hear stuff like this when there's so little of it about these days. Two smaller producers who deserve your support. It's a certified banger. End of. Moving into the top 15, and at number 15 we have a ridiculously funky remix from 4HR of Noizu's track LFO. This is such a saucy remix, takes you on a sumptuous little house journey that you don't want to extract yourself from for a second. An edit with a gripping warmth and devilishness to it, fun in nature but ultimately dragging you into the hedonistic abyss. Like the musical equivalent of doing something naughty that you know you shouldn't do, that's the best way I can put it. Fully recommend to anyone who likes a good groove. Coming in at number 14, we have a trap duo that have made a fair bit of headway this year, and that's Duke and Jones with their remix of Lights Go Down by Zed's Dead. This is a classically clean, well-assembled track from the pair, efficiently applying their approach to the original with finely cut percussion and synths. The drops are what get me most in this track, those high-pitched glowing sounds keeping you in their trance, like a light dangling above your head. Overall, a very solid remix that doesn't try to do too much and is very effective because of that. for which it gets top marks from yours truly. At number 13, we have the VIP of one of my favourite house tracks over the last few years, and that's Keep Mastic by Phlegmatic Dogs. The original I love for its insistent beat, well-placed vocals, and daunting musicality, and this edit expands on that in genuinely the best way possible, changing a couple of sounds in the drops, adding new sounds to the progression, retaining the structure of the original, but just taking it ever so slightly to that next level. Subtle developments that would only be noticed by someone who really loves the original, which luckily I do, and I couldn't be happier about that. Now, most tracks here I love and admire for the sheer skill on display in creating them, but some you just find outright delightful for their vibe and feel, which is the case in Moxie's remix of Smack by Mike Savello and Sesko. This is Mosky at their cheeky best, proper bouncy party beat with a lot of positive feeling filtered through a seriously naughty lens. One of those that sticks to you and just gets you shuffling along to it, bringing instrumental and samples together to very good effect. Above all else, just a bit of fun needed within the pretty dark context of this list and within dark electronic music generally, to give it that injection of joviality every now and then. At number 11, we have one of the most striking and emphatic tunes on this list, which arrives in Jarvis's remix of Stranger by Discord. I love the mysterious introduction, the distribution of sounds in the drops, the character of the vocal sample, the epic feel to it without too much going on, which ultimately is the key to enjoying it, being able to absorb its full force with a pretty select amount of sounds available. It does really well with what it has. Amazing patience in construction too, with very seamless transitions between sequences, a top remix from one of the most underrated producers in dubstep music. Breaking into the top 10 and kicking it off, we have Ray Volpe's remix of DJ Snake's famed 2017 track, A Different Way. Mile and away the best take on the original I've heard. Someone had to do something worthwhile with this stunning vocal, and Volpe really steps up to the plate here. The raw emotion of the dubstep, in coupling with Lauv's vocal, is equally brutal and heartfelt, dovetailing between anger and sorrow. Everything in this track is so well thought out. There's full respect for the vocal, while showing you exactly what Volpe and his style are about. A glorious, glorious remix. At number 9, we have someone who I genuinely never thought I would be talking about on this dark electronic music channel, and that's Madion with his evil edit of Shelter. The intro and build to this remix is right up there with the best I've heard all year, flipping the good feeling of the original completely on its head in this very demented way. Dark and gloomy, yet still so inviting, time-stopping as it lures you into its depths. The mid-tempo drops that follow are also very cleverly executed. The big drawback being how short it is. There's a lot of potential with this idea, and I do wish it was expanded on more, but what's there makes it fully deserving of its top 10 spot. At number 8, we have one of the most irresistibly groovy tracks I've heard this year, and that's Aylan's remix of Buns by Wookie and Wax Motif. A house number with a bass line that just gets you moving. It pulls you further and further in with each repetition, and is impossible to get away from, taking you in the exact direction you want it to. Very simple but so effective in its delivery. It chugs away smoothly and gets you right in the gut. Everything from the percussion to the vocal sample is managed very well throughout. Properly suave remix that, in my honest opinion, you cannot help but love. Coming in at number 7, we have a seriously superb remix in its difference from the original, and that's Hero Bus VIP of Giant Squiddim. This remix represents for me exactly what remixes should be about, transforming an original and showing it in a completely new light. Large parts of the original remain, but it's still so clearly different. The slight touches to the intro, build and main melody and then the drops, so lordy. These riveting freeform bass, glitch, hop, dubstep hybrids that isolate the moments of impact so well whilst hitting us with that mind-numbing bass. A really, really good take on the original, entirely unexpected in its style, and I think it just shows how varied a producer he is, how much he's got in his locker. At number 6 we have another VIP and my favourite of the year, and that comes from Virtual Riot in his refashioning of Preset Junkies. Honestly, this track for me is a tale of two halves. The first half is one of the best opening sequences I've heard this year. The powerful, surging introduction, the triumphant horn notes, the explosive first drop and progression, all the while being so overtly musical, it oozes class on all fronts. It's quite the listen, having all these different ideas combined so emphatically. The transitioning between everything is so smooth as well. Just a shame that the final drop doesn't quite live up to those highs, but that first half makes it entirely worthy of its place just outside the top 5 here. Getting into the top 5 now, and kicking off this top tier mini list, we have my favourite from Audio's Issue 1 remixes, Guillotine's take on About You by Nasco. If you are a fan of seriously heavy, acidic brostep with lots of clarity that keeps pushing boundaries from the first second to the last, then this remix is for you. The energy of this thing is absolutely off the chain, so much going for it sonically too in the way its drops evolve more and more over the track's course. The second drop in this track is one of my favourites of the year, hands down. Uses the original vocal very effectively, supplying more and never letting up. A whirlwind experience, but my god is it a good one. At number 4 we have the exceptionally tricksy, fun and cheeky remix of Billie Eilish's My Boy by Troy Boy. This is what Troy Boy is all about. Jumpy synths, snappy percussion and a really acute awareness of time and space, all of which support the delicate and rosy vocal from Eilish effortlessly. Some of the sounds are so sharp to be almost abrasive, but there's never a conflict or battle between the instrumental and vocal. They coexist in this really organic, genuine way. Just such an enjoyable listen, very infectious and impossible not to bop along to. This is Troy Boy on top form. Taking the bronze medal, it's undoubtedly the most savage remix on this list, and that's why I love it, and that's Bad Clart's take on Pit Boss by Riot 10. Quite simply, if you know Bad Clart and like what he's about, then this does exactly what it says on the tin and more. Mighty introduction, rampant builds, gnarly as fuck drops that completely throw you off your seat, perfect use of the vocal. It just fires on all cylinders. Thing I love about this remix is how the sounds he uses in the drops are so uncontrollable in nature, yet the structural control of every drop is so fucking spot on. Another example of why Bad Clart is so good in terms of making pretty simply structured tracks that have a massive impact through their sounds alone. You'd be hard pressed to find a better song this year to get you fired up for something. It's the best Bad Clart one could wish for. At number 2, this list takes quite the joyous turn as we have the remix of Umperia's Crystallize by The Brig. Along with Chime's experience points, this track is probably at the top of the pile this year when it comes to giving me the proper feels. You're immersed in the charming story of this track through Ashley Apollodor's vocal, and The Brig's playful, quirky, somber glitch step supports it beautifully, lending a vivaciousness to it that just makes it so uplifting, even though the vocal is quite reflective and some of the synths are very melancholic. The whole musicality of this thing really is stunning, and in coupling with The Brig's manipulation of Apollodor's vocal, it makes for quite the moving listen. Basically, it has its heavy moments, but they're not overwhelming in any way, more alluring, and not detracting from the feeling of it at all, inspiring happiness and sadness, taking you on an emotional journey, and it's just pure bliss. Love, love, love this remix. And at number 1, we have a remix from a bass music favourite who's gone relatively under the radar over the last couple of years, and that's Far Too Loud with his remix of Gimmick by Rhodes. This is, quite frankly, Far Too Loud in his prime, the side to his production that arguably popularised him most, and which we haven't seen for a fair while. Fantastic bop and flow to this vomit-infused edit, loads of colour and flavour, brilliant awareness of space and timing in its heaviest moments. Got quite the storytelling vibe to its introduction as well, luring you in with the chopped vocal sample before unleashing that vibrant, gurgled loveliness. With an insane energy and verve to it throughout, going through a substantial second drop change, but it's the perfect switch up in light of the first release. All the sounds and percussion complement each other so well, the different sections function brilliantly in unison. It's Far Too Loud in full flow. Everything just slots into place excellently, a fantastic remix, and I hope he realises how good it is so he can push on from here and make more stuff of this ilk. That which ultimately made people such as myself fall in love with his music originally. I eagerly await his full return to the bass scene, where he will be welcomed with the most open of arms. And so that is that, guys, for the first video in the 2018 Yearly Favourite series, the top 30 remixes of 2018. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much, and as always, for tuning in. Be sure to leave a comment with your thoughts on my list, but also with your favourite remixes of 2018. Which ones did I miss out? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hitting the notification bell along the way. If you'd like to see my favourite remixes video from last year, it's linked somewhere here. Honestly, the quality is awful, but it's an interesting watch for seeing how far my videos have come over the last year. Don't forget to like and follow Nawtystep across social media if you haven't already, all of which is linked, including every track mentioned here. I've even made a Soundcloud playlist putting them all together in the description box down below. And lastly, if it's naughty, then you know, guys, so be sure as always to keep it naughty and stay safe. And I shall see all of you legends in the next one, which shall be my top 20 albums of 2018. Peace.